Hi everyone, Victor here again, and in today's lesson, we're going to be deploying our first mini project. And I wanted to do this topic later on, but because I need to explain some other concepts, some other Kubernetes, OpenShift objects and resources, hence we're going to learn this object by deploying this mini project. And this mini project is simply the deployment of two-tier applications, which are the MySQL database server and PHPMyAdmin. I chose to deploy these two applications because I remember those years. Those years I usually do web design with content management system, WordPress to be precise, so I could get some cash to survive. I'll just go to the control panel and then open the PHPMyAdmin application to manage my SQL database for some website I designed those years. And it's actually interesting, so that's why I chose to deploy these two applications. All right. So in this lesson, we're going to learn the following. We're going to learn how to deploy multi-containers application, which of course we have the MySQL and PHPMyAdmin. And we're also going to learn how to deploy secret, how to create secret. We're going to also learn how to create config map. In this project, I'm going to be acting as the Scrum Master and the product owner. I'm just kidding. So here's the plan. We're going to deploy my SQL database server first, and because we don't want to expose our database to the outside world, we are going to create an internal service for MySQL, after which we will deploy PHPMyAdmin front-end application that we're going to use to manage MySQL. And since PHPMyAdmin is front-end and we need to interact with it from the browser, we're going to create an external service for PHPMyAdmin. However, PHPMyAdmin and MySQL will communicate with each other by using the internal service that has been created for MySQL, and then we will create a database from PHPMyAdmin to test the deployment. In all of this, you will learn what secret and config map are and how to use them. So let's start with understanding what secret and config map are. These two objects or resources are similar to each other, but first, let's look at what secret is. Secret, from its word, is simply secret. Okay, the secret object, from its word, basically holds secret or sensitive information that you don't want to expose to everyone, or rather the cluster users. The secret information could be usernames, passwords, SSH keys, or sensitive configuration file, etc. So the way it works is that the secret resources is going to be created separately, either by using the command line or YAML. Then the application pod or any other resource can reference the secret, which basically means that what needs to be referenced needs to be created first. In other words, the secret which is going to be referenced by other resources needs to be created first before creating other resources. So let's say you have applications like MongoDB, MySQL, or even some other applications that needs to be deployed with sensitive information such as the SSH keys, sensitive configuration files, usernames, passwords. The ideal thing is that this information are protected. So what you would do is to create a secret and put this sensitive information in the secret, then reference or point the applications to the secret. The application pod or other resources can reference the secret basically in two ways. One way is to add the secret as environment variables, for example, in the application pod, and The other way is to add it as a volume inside of the pod. So let's see how this can be done while we're deploying our mini project. So according to our design, the first thing we're going to create is the MySQL application pod. And to do that, we can run the command create create deployment MySQL. That's the name of the deployment, and I'm going to be pulling the MySQL image. So you can see that the deployment has been created. I'm just going to ignore this warning sign. It's about security context. So if I do get ports, you can see that we have an error. The status is error. And if I do get ports again, you can see that the container is running. And if I do get ports again, you can see that we have error. And if I do get ports again, you can see that we have the crash loop back of status. And if I do get ports again, you can see that the container is running again. And if I do get ports again, you can see that we have error. So this container would not start, and you just keep having error, crash loop back of status running, and all of that. And the $1 million question is, why is it that this container would not start? And my friends, to answer your $1 million question, you see, you don't just deploy some application pods without environment variables, and my SQL happen to fall in that category. You can't just create some database pods without adding the necessary environment variables. So let's see how my SQL container can be used. If I go to hub.docker.com, so this is the official website for Docker, and I can search for the MySQL container. So you can see the Docker official image for MySQL. So I can just click here, and here you can see how you can use the Docker tool to pull MySQL container. And you can also see other information about this container. You can see here saying what is MySQL. MySQL is what's most popular, blah, blah, blah. Well, what I'm concerned about here is the environment variable. So I can just do Control F and search for environment variables. And you can see the environment variables section here, and you can see the different environment variables that we have. So one of which is the my SQL underscore root underscore password, and you can see that this variable is mandatory, and this variable will specify the password that will be used for my SQL root super user account. Well, I mean it is important, because how would you even create my SQL server without creating a password for the root account? So that's why this variable is mandatory. And we also have some other optional variables. You can see this my SQL underscore database. You can see that this variable is optional, and what this variable would do is that it would create a database upon the creation of the MySQL server. And also we have the MySQL underscore user and MySQL underscore password variable. These variables too are optional. And what this would do is that it will create an extra user, and it will also create the password for that extra user that will be able to log in to the MySQL server. So we have some other variables, but let's just stop here. So let's create this pod again. And this time around, I will be using the YAML manifest file, which I already have. So I have it in my SQL deploy.yaml. So if you look at this YAML manifest file, you would understand if you've been following us through this course. And of course, it follows the same convention, which is the API version, which is the app/v1. The kind is deployment. The metadata, that's the name of the deployment. And what we're concerned about here is the environment variable section, which is here. You can see the environment variable section, and you can see that the first name of the environment variable is the MySQL underscore root underscore password, which is the mandatory variable, and the value for this password is, so what I'm saying is that this is the password. And the second environment variable that we have in this file is MySQL underscore database, and this is the name of the database. And the third environment variable rather that we have is MySQL underscore user, and this is the user for that environment variable. So we can now create this file. Okay, we also have another one, which is the MySQL underscore password, which is the password for this user, DB user. So let's create this file. Let's create this pod using this file. And also, I'll be dropping the link to this course in the description box below. So in case you want to copy the file, you don't need to type and paste. You know, you don't need to type rather, just copy and paste so that you can easily use it in your lab. So to create this file, I can just do oc create file SQL deploy YML. All right, we have a warning and we have an error which says already exists. So let me just delete the former deployment. Let's also delete deployment SQL. If I do also get ports, so we don't have that deployment there anymore. So if I create this, so you can see that we have it here that the deployment has been created. And like I said, I'm going to ignore this warning. So I can just say also get ports again. You can now see that my SQL is running. Let's confirm that again. If I do also get ports, you can see that my SQL keeps running. If I do also get ports, it keeps running and 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 it keeps running, and it will forever continue to run. Going forward, if you look at this YAML manifest file again, which is my SQL deploy.yml. So let me just cut this file. You would see that we have sensitive information being exposed, which is the my SQL root underscore password. You can also see that these passwords are being exposed, and this is a sensitive information. And you and I would agree that it is not ideal to expose sensitive information such as this in a YAML manifest file. We learned this during our Ansible course too as well. You might want to give this file to your colleague to review, or you might even want to, give a support engineer to review this file. And trust me, exposing this kind of information is not recommended. Hence, the need for secret. And I explained what secret is, and I said that secret in Kubernetes object is used to protect or store a sensitive information. So hence we're going to be creating a secret so that we can store this sensitive information in them. In it, I mean. So before we create a secret, let's even look at the types of secrets that we have. If you look at the Kubernetes website, let's look at the types of secrets that we have. You can see that we have the opaque secret, we have the service account token, we have these are the types of secret that we have. We have the basic auth, but the most commonly used secret is the opaque secret, the basic auth secret, and the SSH auth secret. So in this case, in our own scenario, we're going to be using the opaque type of secret. So let's create a secret. And we can also use the YAML manifest file to do that, which I already have too as well. So if I just open this file and if I do vi MySQL, the file is MySQL secret.yaml. You can see that here we have the API version, which is v1, and the kind is secret, and the metadata, which is the name of the secret, is MySQL-secret. And the secret type, like I said, we're going to be using the opaque type of secret, and this is the data in the secret. So if you look at this data, the first data is my SQL-root-p. So I'm just saying that this is my SQL root password, and you can see that it's been encrypted. And this is my SQL username. You can see that this is also being encrypted, and you can see my SQL password, and you can see that this is also being encrypted. So this is being encrypted with base 64 type of encryption. So let me quickly show you how you can encrypt, how you can encrypt a sensitive information, be it password or anything with base 64. So to do that, you can just simply use the echo command. So you can say echo, I can say echo dash n, and so for the password I used password, that's PA55WORD, and this is going to be piped to base 64. Base 64 is together, so you can see the password here. And for the other user, I used DB user one, DB user one. You can see the value here too. So if I do cut, my SQL secret, so you can see that it's the same. You can see the password. You can see that this corresponds to this, and for the username, which is dbuser1, you can see that this corresponds to this. So this is how you're going to encrypt sensitive information with base 64 encryption. So now we can create the secret. So to create the secret, I can just say secret file. You can see that the secret has been created. And so if I do oc get secret, you can see that the secret is my SQL-secret, and it is the opaque type of secret. So now that this secret has been created, we need to reference the secret from the YAML manifest file of the pod. So to do that, we need to, of course, recreate that YAML manifest file. And the good thing is that I already have a file that is being recreated, and I have it to be in it's in my SQL deploy dash secret, yeah, .yml, and this is the new file. And if you look at this file, of course, it will follow the same convention. Let me just cut this file instead and just do more. If you look at this file, you can see that it's following the same convention. We have the API version, which is apps/v1 kind deployment, blah blah blah. And when you get to the environment variable, so this is how you can reference a secret. So after the environment variable, you're going to be having the name of the environment variable, which is MySQL underscore root underscore password. And this is going to be value from and you're going to be referencing the secret. So that's why you're going to be having secret key ref and followed by the name of the secret, which is my SQL-secret, and then followed by the key. Don't forget that this key is what we created in the secret to reference what we encrypted. Like I said, don't forget that this key is what we ourselves created to reference the encrypted sensitive information. So if you come to the secret here, where's the secret here again? So you can see what we created. We just give it this name. So we want it, we don't want, as a matter of fact, we don't even want the encrypted information to show. That's why we gave it this name so that it can reference all of these secret information. And when you come back here, if you look at this environment variable as well, which is my SQL underscore user, right? You can also see that it will also follow the same convention, which is value from secret keyref, the name of the secret, and the key, which is my SQL username. Also, with this third variable, you can see that value from secret keyref, the name of the secret, and this is the key, my SQL password, just like we give it here. Can you see them here? So this is how you're going to reference a secret from the YAML manifest file from the pod section. So now we can recreate this file. And so if I do also get pods, I'm just going to delete this one which is running. So to do that, I can just say um, also delete. Oops, and delete this. So, oops, what did I just do? Let's see. Oh, sorry guys, sorry guys. Also create secret. So I'm going to delete. I'm going to delete this. Deploy my SQL deploy that secret.yml. Let me be sure. This is what I'm going to delete. Oops, what am I doing? Sorry guys. I think I need to. I just keep deleting the secret. I think it's my SQL deploy.yml. If I can't get that file again, I'll just delete this. I can just say OC delete pod. I think it's OC get deployment. Let me just delete the deployment. OC delete deployment SQL. If I do OC get pods. Alright, so let's create this again. Let's create the my SQL server again. So I can just do OC create, file this. So you can see that the deployment has been created. And now if I do OC get pods, container is creating, OC get pods. You can see that my SQL server is running. And if I do OC get pods again, you can see that it keeps running. And this will keep running forever till you stop it. So now you can see that this is the right way to create a pod that has sensitive information. First, you need to create a secret and then you can reference that secret. So the next thing we're going to do, according to our design, is to create an internal service for my SQL. And of course, you already know how to do that because we've done that in one of our previous lessons. And of course, we can also use a YAML manifest file to create the internal service. And I have that already, which is in So let me just cut that file. The file is my SQL service.yml. So this file would create an internal service for my SQL server. And of course, you can see API version, kind, service, metadata, the name of the service, spec selector, app, MySQL. So to create this, of course, you can just do create file. So you can see that the service, my SQL has been created. And so if I do get service, so I'm trying to look for the service, my SQL service has just been created. So you can see the service here. You can see that the service has been created. So the next thing we're going to do, according to the design, is to deploy PHPMyAdmin application. So let's even look at how this PHPMyAdmin application can be deployed. If you check up.docker.com again, and this time around, I'm going to search for PHPMyAdmin. So this is the Docker official image. So I'm going to click here. And of course, you can see how you can pull the image using the Docker tool. You can see the quick reference. You can see what PHPMyAdmin is. PHPMyAdmin is a free software tool written in PHP, blah, blah, blah. So what I'm concerned about here is also the environment variables. So I can just search for environment variables here. And we have different. Okay, so I can check the environment variable summary because I'm seeing some other stuff there, but let me just check the summary. And here in the summary, you can see, so this is the variable I want to point out to, which is PMA underscore host, which defines the address or host name of the MySQL server. And we've already created that host name. Don't forget that that host name or the address is the internal service that we created for my SQL server. So another important variable, of course, which I want to show to you is the MySQL underscore root underscore password. So you see that this variable is mandatory, right? And it will specify the password that we use to set for the root super user account. So don't forget that we've actually specified this password. So these two variables, which is this and this, are going to be used to connect to our MySQL server from the PHP MyAdmin application. Moving forward, let's create the PHPMyAdmin application pod. And of course, as usual, I also already have the YAML manifest file for this PHPAdmin. So if I just cut the file, I can say PHPAdmin deploy.yml. So if you look at this file, and you can see the API version, kind, deployment, metadata, spec, and if you come to the spec here, that's the spec for the container. And if you check the environment variable here, you can see that the name for this environment variable, which is my SQL underscore root underscore password, which is mandatory. You can also see the value, which is also what we created the other time. And that's when we were creating environment variable for my SQL in that YAML manifest file. And also you can look at the name here too. And like I said, the PMA underscore host here, it's actually talking to the internal service, which is also my SQL. Don't forget that the name of the internal service that we created is my SQL. And just like I've said before, I said that it is not recommended to display sensitive information such as this in a YAML manifest file. So what we're going to do first is that we're going to remove this. And since we already have it in the secret that we created, so we're going to just reference it in that secret. And for this other one, for this other value, this is going to lead us to what config map is. So we're going to create a config map and we're going to put this inside of the config map. So the config map is similar to the secret object. The only difference is that the secret object is used to store sensitive information, while the config map is used to store a non-sensitive information. And the idea is that we're going to put this in a config map. So it's going to just be like a centralized place whereby other applications or other objects that want to use this value can reference that config map. So if it's here, there's no way other object that wants to use this value will be able to reference this. So, but when we centralize it and we put it in a config map, object A can reference it, object B, object C, object D. All right. So it's just the way of putting um, an information in a central way so that other objects can also reference it. So what we're going to do is that we're going to recreate this now. And before we do that, so first of all, I'm going to create a config map. And to do that, I also have a YAML manifest file for config map. And the file is in, so the file is here, that's cat SQL dash config map.yaml. So you can see the config map here. You can see that it's taking the same approach, the same convention as secrets own. API version v1 kind is going to be config map. Metadata, which is the name of the config map data. And config map does not have a type, and that's why you're just seeing only data here. And you can see that this is the data we have in this config map. So this is just going to be referencing, this is just going to be referencing this inside of the config map. So now let's create this config map. So if I say proc create file MySQL config map.yml, so the config map has been created. So if I say also get config map, you can see that the config map has been created, which is my SQL dash config map. So what we're going to do next is to, like I said, we need to recreate this. We need this to be able to reference these variables to be able to reference both the secret and the config map. And again, I have a YAML manifest file for that, which is in the file is in PHP. So let me just cut the file, cut PHP myadmin deploy dash secret.yml. So this is the file. If you look at this file, you can see that the API version is apps v1 kind deployment. And of course, we're coming to the environment variable here. And in the environment variable, you can see the name of this environment variable, and you can see value from, and you can see here secret key ref. We're going to be referencing this name here. That's the name of the secret, and this is the key. So we don't have issues with this because we did this before. And of course, we don't even have issues with this. So it's going to follow the same approach. The name of the environment variable, this is going to be value from. So instead of the secret key ref, this is just going to be config map key ref. And then we're going to be having the name of the config map. And then we're going to be having the key. So it's just as simple as this. So we can now create this PHP myadmin application. So I can just say proc create file. So you can see that this has been deployed, it's been created. So if I say oc get pods, so the container is still creating, that's for PHPMyAdmin. And if I say oc get pods again, it's still creating. So let me just see what is happening. Oc describe pod. All right, so we are at the stage whereby the image is being pulled, and that's why it's not running yet. If I do also get ports again, the container is still creating. So I'm just going to put this at the watch command till we allow the container finish creating. So I'll probably, I think my internet is a little bit slow. So I'll probably just pause, and when it's been created, I'll play again. All right, so this is being created, and you can now see that the container is running. So if I do also get port, we can see now that the container is running. And according to our design, the next object that we're going to be creating is the external service for PHP my admin. And I have that too as a YAML manifest file, which is in PHP my admin service.yml. And if you look at this, you can see, API version, kind service, metadata, PHPMyAdmin, that's the name of the service, and the type is node port, meaning that it's an external service, right? As if I do oc get port, oc create rather. Uh, so now if I do oc get port, you can see the two ports running, oc get secret. You can see the secrets that we created, oc get config map, and also see the config map that we created. And if I say oc get service, you can see the services. I'm seeing my SQL service and I'm seeing PHP my admin service. So you can see the services that we created too as well. So now that we are done with this deployment, let's test our configuration. So I'm just going to go to the browser. So from the browser, I can just clear the screen. So this is let me make this bigger. So I can just get the IP of the CRC node. So I can say CRC IP. So you can see the IP of the CRC node here. So let's say OC gets service. So I'm on I was using putty before, so I'm on the console itself. So if I do OC get service now, you can see this service here. So I'm going to copy this IP here. I'm also going to use this port, which is 30588. So let me open Firefox. So I'm just going to paste here 30588. So let's see if this is going to open. All right, I can see that it's beginning to open. I just hope that my screen recorder is catching this. So let me just quickly confirm that. All right, so my screen recorder is catching this. So what I'm going to do next is to log in. So we're going to log in as the root user, and the password, of course, we set PA55WORD if I'm correct. So I just say don't save. I'm going to log in. All right, so you can see that we are now able to log in using our front end application, which is the PHPMyAdmin, into the database server. And for us to, of course, for us to confirm, you can see the database MySQL that we created. You can see the MySQL database that we created. And for us to do this confirmation again, if I go to, let's me come go back here. Okay, if I go to user account here, so you can see the user extra user that we created, which is the DB user one. So this shows that this deployment is working fine. And also, let me quickly show you something. Because this is OpenShift, right? I can actually also create a route. So I can say OC expose service. We're going to be exposing the PHP my admin service. So if I say OC get route, so you can see the route here. So I can just copy this and I can open this again and let's paste this here. Oops. Let's try this again. Hey, come on, I'm not saying you should open this with Google, man. Let's try this one more time. So this should work, and I don't know why this. Okay, I think this is it here. Yeah, HTTP. All right. So this should work because this is a route. This should work. Okay, so this is working. So meaning that we can also log in via the route. So I can see that it's about to open here. So this is also working. So this is fine. I'm also going to be dropping our course, the Kubernetes course that is related to this in the description box below. It's similar. It's almost like the same thing. We did some series of tests at the end of at the end of that lesson. So if you wish, you can also check. What we did was we created a database um, from the from the CLI command and checked here at the GUI. We also did the same thing from the GUI and we checked the CLI too. So I want to say thank you for watching and please don't forget to subscribe. You see, I had to make this video again because I had issues with my recorder, and just because I wanted to come out clearer, I had to make this video again after I've made it before. So what you can just do to help us is to please subscribe, comment, guys, comment, share, like, and when you do this, you encourage us to do more. And thanks for watching, and bye for now.